Hello, friends. This is Dave Presbys for River Sea Chocolates. Thank you so much for joining us for this chocolate tasting flight. So, you've got a bunch of chocolates laid out in front of you, and I'm going to lead you through about 5 or 6 of them, and you can taste along as I go. It's a good idea at this time to make sure that you've got something to drink, like a cup of water or something to rinse your palate with. And if you've got some oyster crackers or some plain saltines, some plain popcorn, or some very simple bread to eat in between bites as well, that's how they do it among the certified chocolate tasters. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off by tasting 2 of our single origin chocolates. Now, I've selected 2 from different sides of the world for you. And when I say that it's a single origin chocolate, what I'm talking about is all the cacao beans that were used to make this chocolate right here in Fairfax County at River Sea Chocolates Factory came from a single source. One farm or one collective of farmers, and all from the same place in the world. Most of the world's chocolate is not made this way. A bigger chocolate company would just buy a big batch of beans from some sort of a bean broker, a middleman who would buy up beans from all around the world, and then they would process their beans completely differently than what we do at River Sea Chocolates. And they're trying to just give everybody the same flavor of chocolate every time that they bite into one of their brand's chocolate bars. But for River Sea Chocolates, we are trying to accomplish something different. We would like to give you a taste of the place. And so when we make our chocolate bars, we always try and we always do succeed in making our chocolates from a single origin. So when you taste chocolate this way, you can actually get to borrow a term from wine tasting, the terroir of the place that the chocolate was grown. So go ahead and pick up your first chocolate. You're going to unwrap it if you've got a mini bar like this. This is a 15-gram serving size here, so it's got easy break apart pieces so that you can really just get in there and just break off one of the rectangles, and then you're going to be just taking a very small nibble off of it in just a second. But before you even take a nibble, you're just going to give that chocolate a good smell so that you can get all of your senses involved in tasting this chocolate. This first one, like I said, is from Tanzania. These beans are grown by farmers in a collective called Cocoa Kamili. They're really interesting and fascinating and friendly people who, when they bring their wet beans to the processing facility, they put them in these big dugout canoes. And when our certified chocolate tasters took a taste of this chocolate, they said that the notes that were in there, and I'll give you a second, go ahead and take a bite just off of the corner there and let it melt on your tongue, between your tongue and your soft palate, as your body heat is warming up the chocolate and waking up all of those flavors, and they're making their way to your taste buds. Give it a second before I say what the certified chocolate tasters say the flavors are, because it's your tongue, it's in your head. So I don't want to overwrite what your sense is with what the certified chocolate tasters are telling us, because your experience of these flavors is just as valid as somebody who has gone through the certification process. But what they told us is that in a 72% dark chocolate bar like the one you're tasting right now, where 72% of the bar was just made with cocoa, and the other 28% is organic cane sugar from our friend's farm in Brazil. On this Zorzal bar, or I'm sorry, this Tanzania bar, which the beans are grown in East Africa, the notes are going to be coffee and cherry and a lemony citrus flavor that comes in with a little punch at the end, a little lemony note that makes you wonder, what if a chocolate bar could be an Arnold Palmer? Now, this is our founder Chrissy's favorite single origin that we have, and I really love the brightness of this, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. So if you have already tasted it, save a little piece so you can go back and forth between this and the next chocolate bar that we're going to sample, so that you can kind of compare and contrast your flavor experiences. And if you've already finished your bar of Tanzania before I gave you the instruction to save a little bit, don't worry, you're not in trouble. There's plenty more chocolates in front of you, and you will not go short on any chocolates. So now that you've had a chance to taste the Tanzania, go ahead and reach over and find the chocolate that's in your box that is labeled as Zorzal 72. Now, Zorzal is a place, but it's also the name of a little brown bird. The English name for this bird is a Bicknell's thrush. And what happened was, this bird, which spends 6 months of the year in the Dominican Republic, where these beans are grown, and 6 months of the year up in New England, fly right here through Fairfax County a couple times a year. The Zorzal was very endangered. There was less than 100,000 individuals left in the wild. And so a bunch of ornithologists and ecologists bought up 1,000 acres on the mountains there in the Dominican Republic. And they built a reserve there. It's called the Zorzal Reserve. And to help fund their efforts at preservation of this bird, they decided they wanted to use 10 to 15% of the reserve to do some agriculture. And the thing that's great about cacao is that these trees, which normally only grow up to about 30 feet tall, they love to just grow in the understory. They are happy to be in the shade. So you don't have to clear cut the rainforest in order to have a cacao farm. And so that's what they did there on the Zorzal Reserve, is that they took their cacao trees and they grew them right there without having to cut down a bunch of the trees that these birds were using for their bird sanctuary. And so the Zorzal Reserve and these beans were the first recipients of the Smithsonian shade-grown, bird-friendly cacao certification. So as you're tasting this chocolate, just think about the fact that you're also helping to save these little brown birds. They're doing much better now in the course of the years that the Zorzal Reserve has been in operation. And you're helping to save the world just by eating chocolate. And doesn't that make you feel good? Now, the tasting notes for the Zorzal 72, we've come halfway around the world from East Africa to right there in the Caribbean on the island of Hispaniola. This Dominican Republic cacao has got tasting notes of coffee and more of a tart cherry on this one, as well as some caramel or walnutty flavors. If you were to get your hands on a tasting wheel like is used in wine tasting, those same tasting notes can be used for tasting chocolate. So your typical terroir of cacao that is grown in West Africa, where 80% of the world's cacao comes from, is mainly going to be nuts and bitter. And so some people would say, oh, I can't eat dark chocolate, it's too bitter. But if you're making your chocolate out of cacao that came from other parts of the world where the terroir is a little bit different, you can put a lot more cacao into your chocolate, and you can make a darker chocolate without just turning it into something that's too bitter to enjoy. And so when you get to the Caribbean or South America or East Africa or parts of Southeast Asia, you can grow cacao that has got lots of different flavors, fruity and floral flavors, as well as these coffee flavors that are so pleasant. So now that you've had a chance to taste two single origin chocolates, we're going to introduce 3 flavors of our inclusions bars. So these inclusions bars have got extra flavors added to them. So we're going to go from darker to milkier, and we're going to start with the River-Sea signature bar. And so far you've seen these mini bars, but we also do make a full-size bar that's the size of 4 mini bars. So this is a 60-gram bar, and this is our signature flavor. And the next one that I'd like you to unwrap and try a piece of, this is our Cherry Blossom Dark Bar. Now, this bar is made with single origin chocolate. And on the back of our large bars, you can always check this little white label that will say which origin was used in the making of this batch of this inclusions bar. So this one happens to have been made on that Zorzal cacao, but we've added some extra flavors to it to make it a cherry blossom bar. So you got cherry, actually cherry two ways in this. We've got a powdered acerola cherry, which is a very tart cherry, as well as some essences of some more candy type cherries that are nice and sweet. And then in terms of blossoms, we've added some rose extract and some jasmine to this chocolate bar. And then finally, we put a little vanilla in there because vanilla and chocolate are perfect together. Vanilla is my favorite. And when I'm working in the chocolate factory, me and my friends are just putting whatever we want to the chocolate bars, and we'll put the labels on and make sure that it's all printed up correctly later. So I love to put a good glug of vanilla into our chocolate when we're making it. This is the flavor that kind of put River Sea on the map when Chrissy and Mariano started making this. People really took notice. And this is one of the bars that we send to the Airport Sky Lounge at Dulles so that we can give people a nice welcome to the area. You know, people come to visit us to see the Smithsonian and check out our cherry blossoms, and why not have it in a chocolate bar form as well. So that is a dark chocolate, no milk added to that, but it is like a 64%. So there's more sugar in that, and then all those other flavors added to it, cut back on that 72% that we had in our full-on dark chocolate single origin bars that you tasted already. All right, well, let's move on to a milky dark chocolate bar. I've got right here, I'd love for you to try our peach IPA bar. Now, this has been included in your selection there, and this one has got some lovely extra flavors added to it as well. So give it a taste, and in addition to having some peach extract from Palisade peaches, we've also put a little hop oil in there. Now, hops is a ingredient in India Pale Ale beer. That's why it's called a peach IPA bar. But there's no other beer ingredients added to this bar. So the hops is a flower. So this actually really adds a floral flavor to this. And this can be kind of a polarizing bar. A lot of people say, oh, it's too peachy for me. And I get just as many people saying, oh, wow, that's not quite as peachy as I'd like. But a little bit of this peach essence goes a long way. We only put a few drops into the chocolate molding machines when we're making our peach IPA bars. And it can flavor, the whole batch of, 20 or 30 pounds of chocolate when we start to mold our bars, and can make a few hundred bars that way in our factory. And this one also has a nice splash of whole organic cow milk. We get our milk from our farmer friends out there in Humboldt County, California. It's one of the few ingredients that we actually get from the lower 48 states. And when we are making chocolate in our factory, we do not use any wet milk because moisture is the enemy of chocolate. It will cause your sugars to crystallize, and it'll possibly cause rust to start to form on all of your stainless steel chocolate making equipment. And so when I said a splash of chocolate earlier, that wasn't exactly right. Maybe I should have said a little poof poof of the powdered organic whole cow milk, which before I started working for my friends Chrissy and Mariano, I didn't realize that organic whole milk could be reduced to powder. But you get all those lovely milk fats. I think that whole milk has got 4% milk fats naturally, as well as all of the lovely fats that come from the cocoa butter. We add a little extra cocoa butter when we make our chocolate bars, but it is naturally part of the cacao beans. So you take your cacao beans and you break the little outer shell off of them, and after they've been roasted, then you grind them up, and all of the cocoa butter that's in there, it melts down from the friction of the grinding process. And so, yeah, it's about 50% cocoa butter, and then the other 50% is the cacao solids. So, if you squeezed it in a hydraulic press, you'd squeeze out all of the fats from the cocoa, and that'd be your cocoa butter, and then your solids would be your cocoa powder. And we don't do that when we make our chocolate bars. We don't separate our cocoa butter. We actually take the whole bean, so there's lots of extra rich cocoa butter that's naturally part of the cocoa mass, and then we add extra cocoa butter from our friends' farms in Ecuador, and they give us the extra fragrant cocoa butter that is made from the top quality beans. And then, so we've got that cocoa, the extra fat from the milk, and the milk also provides, especially this organic whole milk, a lovely grassy flavor. You know, not like you got knocked over playing a game of touch football and ate grass, but more like you know, the smell of fresh cut grass on a lovely summer day. And so that's our peach IPA, a milky dark. This one's like a 60% amount of cacao in there, and anything above about a 50% is considered a dark chocolate. But since it does have a splash of milk in there, it is still a dark chocolate, but it's a milky dark. Now, the last chocolate that I'd like to highlight for you is one that you've got right there. It's your salted caramel. So this one is a full-on milk chocolate. It's about a 50% cacao. Somebody asked me, oh, popular brand I might buy at the grocery store for making s'mores. How much cacao is in that? And I said, well, I know we're proud that we put 50% cacao into our milk chocolates, so it must be lower than that, 40 or 30%. I looked it up and it was only 11%. It's only 1% more than is the legal limit to be allowed to call your sweets chocolate. If it went any lower than that, you'd have to call it a chocolatey food type substance or something like that, the Velveeta of chocolate. But this has got 50% cacao in it. It's got a lot more milk in it. And it's also got the salt and the caramel. And the caramel is an organic ingredient. We're not going to mess you up by putting something that's artificial flavoring in there. So the caramel is organic. This is all organic ingredients. Technically, the salt isn't organic because salt is not an organic compound. There's no carbon in the chemical makeup of salt. It's just NaCl. But it is a very natural salt. I love the salt that we use in our salted caramel milk chocolate bars. It's a Hawaiian lava salt. And it's harvested using traditional methods on the island of Molokai. They have these lava flows that come down and form a little tidal pool there. The seawater flows in and then it can't escape, and they just let it evaporate using the solar energy. And then our master salt maker, she goes down and scrapes out the salt, and then they have lovely mineral inclusions there. So they've got 4 different colors of lava salt in this package. So it's jade green bamboo, red alea clay, black charcoal, and then the last one is called pearl white, but I think that might just be plain, but you can't put plain on your package of very fancy lava salts. So salt sprinkled across chocolate is a winning combination. We have lots of different salted chocolates at River Sea Chocolate, and we use different kinds of salt in them. Some of them are Iberian sea salt or Icelandic sea salt. Some of them are smoked with pecan wood to give you a nice smoky flavor. That bar that we have, the pecan wood smoked salt, is the one that I recommend to people who jokingly, but I can tell they're not really joking, ask me if we've got bacon flavored chocolate. We don't put any pork products into our chocolate making process, but the smokiness and the saltiness really does kind of scratch that bacony itch. So I really hope that you enjoyed the salted caramel. That's my 12-year-old son's favorite flavor of chocolate that we make at River Sea Chocolates. And that one kind of is like a candy bar because of the caramelly flavor. We don't have any ooey gooey caramel chocolate bars that we make, but if you come on down or get on riverseachocolates.com, you can always order some of our artisanal truffles, and we often have got a ooey gooey caramel center on some of those handmade truffles that we make in our factory. But please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Send me an email or just message us on riverseachocolates.com or get onto our social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and you can reach out to us there. Call us at our shop. Come and visit us. We've got 2 locations. We're right there in Chantilly, where we've got our hot chocolate cafe. People can drop in 7 days a week. We're open from 11 to 5. We're open an extra hour later on Saturdays until 6 o'clock. And at the Chantilly location, we've got events where somebody can walk you through a chocolate tasting flight like you've just done. But if you want something different, maybe come in for one of our wine and chocolate pairings. We spend about an hour with you and go through 5 kinds of chocolate and 3 wines. 2 of them are usually Virginia native wines, and then we've got usually slip in another, maybe a California or something from Italy that's just a lot of fun, and I can't contain myself. We've also just added a new experience. It's a hot chocolate tasting flight. So we spend about 75 minutes with you. You just have a leisurely time sipping hot chocolates with your friends, and we make 5 different kinds of hot chocolate for you to taste. We go from something that's got a very basic classic hot chocolate made with whole cow milk, and then we move on to things like salted caramel chocolate and a milk chocolate base like the one that we tasted right now, but turned into a hot chocolate, or we could do a extra thick drinking chocolate. So we've only done a couple of those so far, but they're really fun. And it's like a nice way to spend a little more time just relaxing in the chill vibes of the River-Sea Chantilly location. And we have expanded recently. We've got a new location in Reston where we do most of our manufacturing, and we've got a little chocolate gift shop there where you can get bars and truffles, like I mentioned before. No hot chocolates are served there, although we do now have bags of hot chocolate mix that you can buy online or at either of our locations. And sometimes they come in different flavors. Just check out what we've got there. And then if you do come in to our Reston location, we're over there on Sunset Hills, same building as Reston Yoga, 2 or 3 stops down from the Plaza America. And so it's not in Reston Town Center, it's a little further down. But that is a really fun opportunity because you can peek through the windows there and you can see all of the steps of our chocolate making process, where we go from bean to bar, from where we open up our big burlap sacks of beans that we got off of the sailboats that bring them to us, because it's a carbon neutral way to transport our cacao from our farmer friends, whether it's coming from the islands in the Caribbean or from Brazil. So once we get our beans out of our big burlap sacks, we roast them in a big roaster. It takes about 90 minutes. And then we point a big industrial fan at them to cool them off. And then once they're ready, we put them in a big winnowing machine. So we drop them through a grinder. It breaks open the beans and knocks off the outer shell, which is called a husk. And a carefully calibrated cocoa tornado sucks the husks away because they're papery light, and the heavier nibs fall down into a catch basin. We take those nibs into the next room in our factory, so you can see the roaster and the winnower, and you can see Joe, our master roaster, and our other chocolate makers working on that. And then you can peek through a different window and see into our main factory space where we've got our grinder, where we've got our production manager, Ed, and our founder, Mariano, often working in there, mixing up the sugar and the chocolate, the cacao, and they all grind in the big grinder together until it's fully incorporated. Our ball mill can get everything done in about 10 hours. We also use sometimes big stone grinding wheels in a spinning melanger, but those take a lot longer to do the process. They take about 2 to 3 days to get all the cacao ground down into a nice smooth texture. And then we transfer everything into our automated tempering machines. And even though we've got a few machines involved, it's still a hands-on process. There's a human at every step. You can see our chocolate makers led by our master chocolate maker, Dina. She just graduated from the École Chocolat with honors, and she's helping them to form all the chocolate bars into our little trays. Once you get your chocolate formed into the trays, and you sprinkle your salt or whatever onto them on a vibrating side table to get rid of any little holes that might be formed by bubbles being mixed in with the chocolate. You just pop them into the refrigerators for 5 to 8 minutes, depending on if you're making mini-sized bars or full-sized bars, and then they're fully solidified. You take the trays out of the refrigerator, flip them over, all the chocolates fall out like a bunch of poker chips, and then you either slide your full-size bars into these easy peel and stick envelopes, which reduce our plastic usage because they're all papery, and they keep your chocolate shelf stable for up to a year or more. Or we put them into our mini bar wrapping machine so we can make a bunch of these little mini bars. And that machine will wrap 100 bars in a minute. Whereas, a few years ago, before we got the wrapping machine, we would sit there by hand and wrap each of the bars in the foil and then put a little paper wrapper on there and use a glue stick to form them or to seal them up. And there used to be so many glue sticks in there. And that would take about an hour and a half to wrap 100 bars. But it's been a really fun journey going from, just in Chrissy's kitchen, doing all the hand tempering, aiming the thermometer and scraping and pouring the chocolate by hand. And we did that for 3 or 4 years at River Sea Chocolates. And we got those automated tempering machines that make everything a little easier. And there's a foot pedal that pauses the flow of chocolate. So you take one of the hands out of the operation. It allows you to go a little bit faster. And then the upgrading from the stone melungers to the ball mill has allowed us to increase our production capacity so much. In 2024, Mariano told me that we made about 6 to 7 tons of chocolate. And remember, this is about 15 grams of chocolate right here. And then in 2025, last year, we were able to expand our production capacity and we made 25 tons of chocolate. So we went from 6 to 7 tons of chocolate one year to 25 tons of chocolate made by the company just the following year. And so going into this year and the years beyond, I'm just so excited for what the future holds for River Sea Chocolate. And it's all been possible because of the support of lovely people like you. Thank you so much for spending these minutes with me while I walked you through those 5 chocolates. Enjoy the rest of the chocolates that you've got and come visit us again soon. I've been Dave Presbys for River Sea Chocolates. We'll see you again later. Thank you. Goodbye.